Hey, it's Uncle Joe and Uncle Joe Hikes. We're here at the Byron Reese trailhead, getting ready to go up Blood Mountain. Maybe taking a side jaunt as well, but we'll see when we get up there. It's the Monday before Christmas. Parking lot is still relatively full, so iconic hike. As you saw on those signs back there, there's a hiker that's been missing since November 11th. Parked at the Byron Reese trailhead like we did. Came up to Summit Blood and hasn't been seen. They've had a ton of professional SAR people and law enforcement out here over the last few weeks to try to find them, and have had no luck. So people are keeping their eyes peeled, as we will, but much of what I'm gonna be doing today has probably been beaten out. You can see the people hiking. They just went up and did a switchback. That's what you call a sign. Sign that that's where you're going. See a lot of water seepage coming off the side trail. We're almost to the Freeman split crossroad, if you will. And it gets pretty icy in there. It's fairly warm today though, so we really shouldn't see too much ice. All right, we're at the Freeman cross. Here we are, Freeman Trail. They've got some posters out here too, so that tells me that they probably searched the Freeman Trail, which they would. It's real easy to come off the summit and find yourself dumped out onto this trail, so it makes sense they would want to make sure the missing hiker wasn't down here. So the missing hiker is Charles Hosch. He's a lawyer from Texas. I say from Texas, he's actually from here. Apparently he grew up here, was very familiar with this particular area. Decided to stop and apparently hike up to the summit of Blood Mountain, and hasn't been seen since. And I say since November 11th. Today is December 22nd. There's been a truckloads of people up here looking for him, and I had thought about coming up to do a little bit of searching and try to help out. Early on they were asking for the public to kind of give SAR some space. Then as it wore on, the family wanted to get volunteers, and all of the hiking positions got filled before I got to the volunteer page. So I kind of felt like they had the people that they really needed. I don't really have any medical knowledge. I just have a relative knowledge of this area, having hiked it a lot. That doesn't necessarily mean I can contribute a whole lot. So, you know, another set of eyes doesn't hurt. They've had a lot of people up here. They've had some dogs up here, and just haven't had a lot in the way of breaks. So they do know that Charles summited Blood, or at least was on the summit trail, because a dog picked up his scent up there on the trail, which told them at least they know that he was on the trail up there. Another hiker saw him that day on his descent And he said, yeah, I remember him and I spoke to him. So we know that he was on the AT and on Blood Mountain, but we don't, know anything really other than that. They did find a hiking stick a few days ago. They speculate might have been his. So that's pretty much it. Now here on the Freeman Trail, there are any number of ways you could go off the south side of this trail and be in a bit of a pickle, because nothing on the south side of this trail gets hiked a whole lot. So there are some places here where you could slide down and that sort of thing. Particular place I'm interested in is where Blood Mountain Creek draws off the side of the mountain, down, goes over a waterfall a few hundred feet below the trail here, and then continues on to some other waterfalls. Him being a local, perhaps when he was younger he had hiked to that waterfall. I don't know. It's something that's been on my mind since he went missing. I'm sure they've thought about it. I'm sure somebody's probably already looked down there, but it is something I'm very curious about. Kind of got this little talus field here, pretty big rocks tumbled down from the side slope in the past. Well, these rocks used to be up on top of the mountain. The Appalachians, of course, were as big as the Sierras at one time, and so a lot of this rock that you see that's tumbled down was probably part of a crag that jutted up into the sky. It's weird how you get a whiff of scents and a real flowery, perfumey smell back there. In theory, it could have wafted down from the summit. Probably plenty of people up there that got something on to make them smell better. But yeah, it's just kind of strange. Well, you can see the mess that these guys had to search in. And this is just the southern slope. I mean, the northern slope's very steep in parts, so you can imagine it's probably just as much a mess as this is in places. You could fall, twist your ankle, end up in a crevice. Well, we got some flags there, presumably meaning that they've been through here searching. It's real easy to get off trail here. It's just it's a jumbled mess. So yeah, you could see where somebody could get lost and really be close by. Who knows which one of the paths in there they would have taken. If Charles was here, which one would he have taken? You just don't know. Very easy to get lost in here, and very difficult to set up a grid on a side slope like this. I mean, look at this. If you could see here the angle, you're going to have to set up a grid to try to search this. Much of what they were going to search, I'm sure, would have started in this circle here inside this loop, which is to my right here. Very, very difficult. Well, we're getting some good views in the southwest there, southwest, and getting some needles to walk on, which is nice. Back there in those laurels, very thick. You get in these thick areas, you can really see where taking a tumble off the side of the trail could render you completely out of sight. I'm not the only one that speculated he could have got onto this trail. A fellow who used to own Mountain Crossings, whose name escapes me, he said the same thing. There's, I guess, some spots on the AT up there on the mountain where if you were to take the wrong path, it would dump you out here on this trail. And then, if you went the wrong way or had some kind of a mishap, or you were already injured, you could find yourself in some trouble. So it's just a sad situation. I know his family is beside themselves. But there's a lot of speculation too that he's just not up here. There's just been so much searching and so many people that come up here to hike. It would seem strange that nobody would have seen something. But when you're out here on this terrain, you can see how you could literally be 10 feet from someone unconscious and not even see them. The thing that exacerbates the issue is that on the 11th, when he went missing, there was still leaves on the trees, quite a bit in fact. So in the subsequent few weeks after, these leaves would have come down, and if he was hurt and unconscious, they would have covered him up. He may have covered himself up to stay warm, so that's also a possibility. The name of that plant escapes me, but it's one of the plants that will turn colors when it gets really cold, and that's why you see it here purple now. My friend Nancy Roberts. Nancy, you told me what that was. But yeah, you'll see it all nice and green, but when it gets really, really cold, it'll turn purple like that. Here you can see it's kind of transitioning there. So that tells us been some cold nights up here. We're still picking our way here along the Freeman. Lots of rock. See here on the side slope, we see some of that tripe. As we dance through these laurels, little short laurels here. We should be getting to that Blood Mountain Creek draw here shortly. It's just slow going. A little open area here. I would imagine somebody has used as a camp along here, maybe. Wouldn't expect anything to be down here, but yeah, it looks like there was probably some fires done right there. Supposedly in that Blood Mountain Creek wash, where that waterfall is downstream, there might be signs of a pig trail. From what I've read, people do scramble down there to it from the Freeman Trail. So we'll just have to see as we get close to that wash, which should be very soon. Here's a little creek here, but I don't believe this is the Blood Mountain Creek. I think that runs into it. I think we got a little bit further to go to get to the draw proper. Yeah, so here we go up ahead. This might actually be the primary one. We can see water skidding off that ledge there, so it's a lot more open over here. Oh, there you are, yeah. Now let's get up here on top. Just a few hundred feet down. A little waterfall with various names. Blood Mountain Creek Falls. Fourth Falls has been called. There's another one, Pig Pen or something, that's been it's been called that in some places, but that particular falls is a little further down. There's a succession of about 3 or 4 between here and the bottom. But yeah, let's see what our map's telling us about our spot. So yeah, this is it. somewhere down that hill would be a falls, but I'm not seeing anything yet of a trail. Now coming out of the back of that little camp area looking spot, it looked like there might be, and I could see where somebody might have a trail that comes in to catch it from the side as opposed to going straight down the slope. But there might be something ahead of us. We'll just have to see. So my theory had been that perhaps as a youngster he knew about that falls. Maybe he decided to take the Freeman Trail around, scramble down there to it. Now Charles is 67 years old. You know, that's not to say he wasn't capable, because at that age you're still pretty young, and if you can summit Blood Mountain, odds are you can scramble down there to the waterfall. But my theory had been that it was going to be an extremely steep side slope. The truth is, it's not as steep as I thought it was going to be. Now you could still fall on your way down there, a lot of rock and that type of thing, but it wasn't quite as steep of a side slope as I'd feared. That's not to say he still might have went down there. There's a tongue right here to get you in there relatively close, but I haven't seen any kind of like pig trail like I was expecting. I've hiked this trail many times, I just never looked for that, so the possibility of it being there was still fresh to me, but it's still a possibility. But I don't know. I'm thinking this waterfall theory is less of a thing based on what I'm seeing. Well, my hope was I would get down here on this tongue and get a view of the falls, but I'm thinking the falls are another few hundred feet back, or down rather, because we're only about 150 feet off the top of the trail, and the falls is about 300, 340, somewhere in that range, so we're not going to get a view of it without getting way down. And this tongue's starting to steepen up a little bit, so well, I made it up this side slope. Looking at the way down from there, and even over out where the creek is, it's a lot more open than I suspected. So somebody could go down directly down the wash on either side, particularly the north side. But having not found any kind of real pig trail or obvious sign that people scramble down there, I'm not so sure that he would have done that. Somebody saw him coming down off the summit and spoke to him that day, so it seemed unlikely he would backtrack on the Freeman Trail, because it's a good little ways back in here to this wash. It'd make more sense to come from Bird Gap over here than it would to come from your after descending Blood Mountain and then backtrack here. That wouldn't make any sense either, so that also points to it being a very unlikely scenario. Anyway, we're gonna make our way around here to Bird Gap and start climbing up Blood. Here we are, Appalachian Trail. This is Bird Gap. Well, there's a turn off down to Woods Hole Shelter. That goes on to Springer. Slaughter Mountain Lumen Lodge, Slaughter Creek Trail runs down that hill there. We're gonna be heading that way, but first I'm gonna sit over here, have me a snack. And the breeze is a little chilly. It's always gonna be a breeze coming over these gaps, especially in the wintertime. But anyway, dig out my snack, start slogging up Blood. By that I mean climbing Blood Mountain, not like regurgitating blood. Well, you could see how thick that is in there, and you can imagine having to, and even up here you can imagine having to plot a grid out to try to search for someone. I kind of wish I'd come up here and joined in just to gain that bit of knowledge. You know, I don't know much about search and rescue. Like we had a fire or something here, maybe somebody set up a warming fire when they were searching. I don't know. You can see in here they definitely beat out down in there. There's the second camping area on your way up from the south side. Blood. This is a more gradual way to get up Blood Mountain, but it is a little longer than summiting at the beginning. We still got to make it up to the Duncan Ridge turnoff, so we still got a little ways to go. But here's the Freeman turnoff. Got some boys heading down to, I'd presume, Vogel. It goes across to 180, and then there's a split. The Coosa Backcountry Trail finishes out to Vogel. I know a lot of the search operations and stuff have been planned from down there. They had drones and dogs and helicopters. It's just a mystery. Thinking about the family. It's a bad time of year to, not that any time's a good time. You just don't want your holidays associated with such a memory. Somebody going missing. Well, our sunny afternoon is giving way to clouds, but it's not quite as breezy as it was. I'm plenty warm because I'm climbing, so not terribly worried about the temperature. I'm worried about getting up. Get into rhododendrons here. Kind of short on the leaf side of things. You can see it got cold. They're all droopy and sad. Wishing summer would hurry and get back. Well, there's the Blood Mountain not so privy. And some folks up here, probably up on the rock. There's a rock up there you can climb up on and look out. Iconic shelter should be coming into view. Built back in the 30s. There it is. And there you go. Here are views to the north. Ceiling's coming in low. So the rock they're sitting on is right over there. You get plenty of other views on your way down. Right now we're just kind of traversing the summit. Little doggy running around up here. I saw a glimpse of him going through the going around behind some bushes. I thought there's some kind of animal up here. There you go. It's like there may be some showers out there, kind of to the west, southwest maybe. Let's hope we don't run into that. Give me some more sunshine. Had 2 days of sunshine. I should have got up here sooner. But holidays, presents to wrap and all that stuff. So. And some good football to watch. This is an awesome view too. Getting a nice wide open shot. Really nice. Alright, so yeah, the AT runs out across that ridge. It's rock face down there of some sort. But Freeman Trail is down below here, so we made our hook around. And yeah, so that's looking more or less west-southwest. Now here we can just see some reflection. It's probably Lake Lanier. Some water reflection down there. And if I had to guess, I would say straight ahead and the horizon back there is that's probably Sonic and Indian Seats, and you can, the camera probably not getting it, but just to the right of it is downtown Atlanta. You can see the skyscrapers, and then very faintly over here to the left you can see Stone Mountain. So yeah, clear day is gone, or we could have probably seen the city better. All right, still making our way off the summit here. Plenty of views. Blood Mountain doesn't disappoint in views. This being a Monday, there's not a whole lot of people out too, so kind of have it to yourself a little bit. It'd be so easy to twist an ankle on the way down this. Gotta be really careful. Passed a young couple on their way up. They're going to spend the night. That's kind of his first time. He said, I'm more of a car camper, so he's kind of out of his element. I'm sure he'll be fine. Little doggy was running between us, so he's still on the trail. He's out in front. Hopefully he stays on the trail and get a little bit further down the mountain, and maybe he'll pick up some familiar scents. I don't know. He looks a little scrappy, like he's been out here a while, which is kind of sad. Laurel's on the right and rhododendrons on the left. You can see here a little, it's like a little wildlife trail. But yeah, rhododendrons pointing down, so they've been getting cold up here. And the laurels are like, I don't know what their problem is, man. And we're doing fine. Little dog is just out in front of us. You can see here where you could get turned around. There's a path that looks like it's beaten out that way and this way. You could get up in one of those areas and twist an ankle, and you know, your entire trip would change quickly. So coming down this mountain, having a little bit of knee pain, IT band on the right. But I've also been battling this, I won't say battling, having these random pains like right under my knee. Primarily the left, though it does happen with the right occasionally. And I'll just take a step and it'll just hurt. And then I'll try to duplicate it. And I can't. I'll try to step exactly the same way. Like, oh man, we don't know what's going on. But today, it's like frequent. And on my walk 2 days ago up at Indian Seats, Sawney Mountain area, it was bothering me. And I think that's just from not getting out like I should. It's going to exacerbate that problem. So, yeah, got to figure that out. I'm kind of hollering down there. I was thinking it was that dog. But I think it may be people. The dog is down there ahead of me somewhere, but I don't know where. Oops, I don't want to slide on that. I wonder if he's... No, he's not staying up under there. I think he's largely walking the trail. I need to find my way down here. Here we go. I think this is the old trail proper. It's really spread out to where people are kind of hiking wherever to get down, but you can see these rocks were probably placed because you could see like a sort of a sill here, right? So, and then this butts up against it, and that's to keep them from tumbling down. So those have been there probably a very, very, very long time. Got our woodpecker over there, waiting for it to fire off again. He's waiting for me to put my camera away before he does it. Picking out some blues. So this side of the mountain is very similar to the Cow Rock ascent, except that there's a lot more rocky areas and areas with a lot of boulders and stuff than the Cow Rock ascent. So it's a lot busier, if that makes sense. All right, we're back at the gap. Freeman Trail heads that way, so we've closed our loop. Haven't seen any more of the doggy. I think he may have curled around one of those open areas and just went back up the mountain, just trying to avoid me. Really good. Got it, nice. All right. Byron Reese Trail down to the parking lot. And sadly, no sign of Mr. Hosch. So we just came down off the steps. And there's an old trail that beats out here. And there had been talk about there being a new trail possibly being built at the base of the steps. I haven't seen anything like that. I don't think that's it, because honestly I think that's the old trail. Because I recall the first couple of times I hiked this trail, I came in and that was all new cut, that switch back there. So I think that the old trail actually went through there, across the creek, and made its way. But if anybody remembers that, let me know, or I could be crazy. I could still be crazy, but I could be right. Well, here's old Earl. Hopefully nobody broke in and got my Simon game. You can still buy Simon games. All right, Freeman Loop, Byron Reese, Blood Mountain done. This really wasn't intended to be any kind of an expose on the Charles Hosch case. I just really wanted to see that downslope that goes down to that waterfall and see if there was anything feasible about somebody seeing that area and finding a way down to it. I really don't think that happened now that I've been there and I've seen it. You know, it's been over a month. I hope he's just not even on this mountain, that there's some other scenario that hasn't been thought of and that he's going to be found safe and sound. But I'll put a link below to the update page that the family has, and yeah, if you know anything, they'd like to know it. But anyway, we're going to get out of here, get home and find some dinner, because I got something special waiting for me that I made last night. I'm going to eat some leftovers tonight.